The Newton brothers may not be as easily identifiable as Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson, John Dillinger, or Al Capone. They certainly weren't as renowned as either Bonnie Parker or Clyde Barrow. With that being said, between 1919 through 1924, it may go a long way toward explaining why Newton and his gang were infinitely more successful at their particular brand of bad guyness than any of them. For much of their career, nobody, even the cops, knew who the Newtons were. But today, we're going to shed some light on all of their crimes.
Whispers rise in the dead of night, secrets buried in the fading light. The truth's a storm, it will not stay. It crashes through like Judgment Day. Chains will break where shadows lie. The southern wind, it's a battle cry. Sisters of the South, hear the call. We rise together, we stand tall. SOS, the truth will ignite. Justice burns, a beacon of light.
Hey guys, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we're Sisters of the South. We share real cases and stories about real people and their families who deserve answers. We focus on missing persons, solved and unsolved cases, because here at Sisters of the South, we believe that every person matters. We're here to listen, share, and help keep these names from being forgotten. Thank you for joining us. Now let's get on with the story.
The sons of poor Texas sharecroppers, four Newton brothers, Willis, Wiley, also known as Doc, Jess, and Joe, mostly left school early and fell immediately into petty crimes and stints in jail. Willis was about 25 with a lengthy rap sheet already to his name when he first robbed a bank, making off with about $4,700 from a job in Klein, Texas. That's about $120,000 of today's money.
Dang.
I know. He's like, go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
In 1916, with some other outlaws, Willis took a share of about $10,000, which is equivalent to about $237,000 today, and he took that from a robbery.
So he's a pro.
Oh, by his second robbery, he was, I would consider successful.
So it's like he was born to be this way.
Right? I mean, he's a Jesse James at heart at this point.
Oh my gosh.
So Willis was hooked, of course, by now. I mean, he's like, listen, 2 bank robbers and I'm rich.
Well, yeah, it's like a gambler making money. They're going to keep gambling.
Yeah, and if you're so-called good at it, why not just keep going? And he eventually brought his brothers into the new family business. So he's like, look, I've been successful. I want to share the wealth with my family. Let's make this a family business.
It's very kind of him.
Isn't that? I mean,
not selfish at all.
You know, I mean, let's keep this going. So early on, as the brothers and an occasional accomplice lined up jobs, Willis laid down some ground rules that would help the gang become the most prolific bank robbers in history. But there were rules. Though the gang may not always have been able to follow them, he set some ground rules. I mean, he has some morals, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's got to be rules in every game you play.
That's right. That's how you make it as a bank robber.
Even if you're a criminal, there's got to be some rules. So, yeah. But we'll find out what those rules are.
I guess so. Okay, guys, we're going to take a short break and give a little shout out to our favorite vendors over at SoFly.
SoFly!
SoFly! And we're going to show you a little video.
Let's do it. Hey Guys, I wanted to come to you today about SoFly. SoFly is a family owned business here in the Houston, Texas area, and they specialize in embroidery and engraving. So, what they'll do is take your favorite accessories, such as a cap, a hoodie, a purse, a jacket, and they will specialize it to your needs. They have an array of different colors, and if you want your logo or your name or maybe even your initials, they'll put that on there for you. Also, they do engraving on things such as leather patches and also on carving boards. They do our merchandise. We know that you'll be happy, so try them at least once. But just to give you some idea of how badass they are, we're going to show you a video. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Go check them out, and we will be putting their information down in the description box. But for now, let's move on with the story.
So they were full-blown criminals by this point. But here's the thing. Willis had the wisdom to know that if they killed somebody, that would change everything about how the police came after them.
True.
And of course, because they don't want to be robbing banks and then take someone down and then they go to prison for life or get the death penalty. You know, and I'm sure they didn't want to hurt anybody in the process.
They just want the money.
They want the money.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, though, is when you're doing a robbery, there's a possibility someone's going to pull a gun on you or try to hurt you.
Well, you don't know who you're going to run into.
Exactly.
What's going to happen.
Yeah. So they took the chance, but the rule was don't take anyone out, I guess, unless absolutely necessary at this point. But that wasn't their final game plan. Their final game plan was just to take the money.
Right.
So it was his mandate to his brothers that they would never kill anybody. The gang, at its height, were 4 brothers and an explosive expert named Brent Glasscock. They robbed banks and the occasional train across Texas, Oklahoma, and all the way through the Midwest, and they even went into Toronto, Canada. So they're like, let's just keep taking this north.
Yeah.
Each time they knocked over a bank or a train and they were successful, they would just keep moving north, which makes sense because they're getting away from any type of media coverage, newspaper coverage or whatever. So by the time anyone south of where they're at gets the paper, they're long gone.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if you want to call it smart, they could have done so many great positive things. But, you know,
exactly.
This is their route that they chose. So on at least one occasion, they robbed 2 banks in one day. I mean, they're getting really brave at this point, right? And I'm sure they're getting greedy. Not only are they being successful, but they're like, oh my God, we keep taking all this money and it just keeps adding up.
And getting away with it.
And getting away with it. So why not, let's just keep it going and let's get as rich as possible and move forward. You know what I mean? So in Canada, in a rare daytime heist, because they didn't always hit during the day, they were involved in a shootout during a morning rush hour that tarnished their reputation for clean hits and easy getaways. But normally, they would do a little preparation, some nitroglycerin perhaps, to blow the door off a safe, and the Newtons would be on their way with loot in hand. I didn't know nitroglycerin would cause an explosion, but I learned something new.
I wonder how I know that sounds stupid. How did they know? They must have been playing around with.
Well, you know what I think? I think that probably back then nitroglycerin was specifically used for explosions. And then later on, the medical world decided, hey, let's try this out on heart patients. And it worked. Of course,
I wouldn't want to be the first guy to try nitroglycerin to get my heart going.
Absolutely not, because those pills are so tiny. But when I first read this and saw it in a movie, because I watched a movie on this, I'm like, nitroglycerin? To blow the doors off a safe? Because our dad and my husband have nitroglycerin pills. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, and you have to wonder like how normal, regular, everyday people would know that. But I guess if they're working out in like coal miners and stuff had to know all of that. So I mean, workers had to know these things, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And that was probably literally the only thing you used nitroglycerin for back then,
I
really.
would assume.
Probably. So that, you know, they, I guess, were smart, and they would put
My luck,
nitroglycerin in there, and
it'd blow
I'd
up
be
on the
with it.
way to
I
the
wouldn't get out in
bank.
time. I
Yeah.
would be scared to death. But the Newton boys were, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Just thinking like trip over something on the way out and I would blow up with it.
That's what would happen to me, because God knows I'm clumsy. I mean, I couldn't do anything like this anyway. I would mess it up so bad.
Oh, geez.
I'd have gotten caught before I even got done with the
I
robbery.
can't even think about it. I'd probably be like
Oh.
messing up just trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. The Newton boys were as busy as anyone ever had been in their profession, largely because of the era in which they were working and the desire to keep doing the work. Dillinger, by comparison, robbed only a couple dozen banks. So when I think of a couple of dozen banks, I'm thinking, God, that's a lot of banks. But the Newton brothers or the Newton gang, they're like, yeah, screw Dillinger. Hold my beer.
He's lazy.
Yeah, he's lazy. He has no ambition in life.
Yes.
We're gonna take it. We're gonna up him one, right, or 3 or 4. So that's, and they knew about Dillinger. They're
we could
watching.
do that in a week.
Yeah, they took like Dillinger and people like that, and they used them as examples of how they wanted to do their family business. So which is not a
business.
yeah, their family business. So they wanted to fly under the radar. They didn't want any notoriety. The public had actual photographs of Bonnie and Clyde, and they did all sorts of stuff that kept taunting the police. John Dillinger did a similar type of thing. So did Pretty Boy Floyd. Because the public did not know what the robbers looked like, the Newtons weren't having to run from the law. At one point, Willis said, "We wasn't mugs like Bonnie and Clyde. We just quiet businessmen. What we wanted was the money."
Businessman.
Yeah. I mean, listen. They had high ambition. They made it a business. They made it their business to rob banks. Period. And trains.
What they could have been.
I know, right? It helped, too, that the Newtons mostly did their work at night. They didn't barge into banks brandishing shotguns and yelling, "Stick 'em up." And banks compared to today were much easier to rob. Many of the banks that the Newtons knocked over were in small towns with little security. I mean, and I kind of think about that because they should have had some sort of security at that point, because back then it was kind of like a free-for-all.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of bank robbers, right?
Yeah. So
okay, you're right, but if they're not going during the day, maybe a lot of bank robbers did it during the day, like,
yeah, that's
true. Instead of at night, so they didn't think about it.
Yeah, they were
being
locked
at night,
up, and it's in a safe. So,
but it's smart to go at night because you can get in
Yes.
and out with no eyes on you,
nobody walking the streets that might get hurt and pull a gun
unless
on
they're
you.
drunk,
Right? So
and they're not going to know what you're doing.
yeah, so I guess it makes sense. Which I would rather do something where not a whole lot of people are around too. I would, if you're going to do it with not hurting anybody in the process, that was the smartest way to do it.
Yeah. Otherwise, something
Right.
can happen. Anything can happen.
Quickly. I mean, quick. But we have to remember the only communications in the 1920s was telegraph and telephone. No internet, no national databases of fingerprints, no national database of mugshots or anything like that. So they could pull these things off, and nobody knew it was the Newton brothers. So in between jobs, when it was convenient, they'd go back to the family home in Uvalde, Texas, and lay low until they needed more money. The general opinion of the people in Uvalde at that time was that all the Newton boys were lazy and irresponsible, and they were probably up to criminal activity, but nobody knew that they were bank robbers. So, I'm sure that, and they're doing this at night, so I'm sure that, people are like, God, they're just lazy, living off their parents, and I'm sure they're up to no good, but nobody is thinking, because of the kind of family they came from, that they're robbing banks. Because people, I'm sure, just like we do now, stereotype what a bank robber is supposed to look like.
Well, and they may have
didn't.
just thought, because if they're traveling to Canada from here, they're gonna. That's a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So maybe they just thought they were out getting drunk in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, right. Buying
And
prostitutes.
then they always come
Yeah.
back, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
They're up to no good doing stupid stuff, and they come back,
and nothing's happening in their vicinity.
right.
So they're
not putting two and two together of what they're doing.
And how could they? Because literally, I'm not even sure that by the time they knocked off a bank that any of that is coming to the newspapers in Texas as
Right.
they go north, right? So the fact that anybody probably even has knowledge of these bank robberies at that point is probably slim to none.
And even if it did,
Mhm.
okay, I'm sure it didn't, but even if it did, would they really put 2 and 2 together
Probably
that it was
not.
them?
Probably not.
Because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they're smart. If they're smart enough to get away with this so long and get as much money as they did, they're smart enough to make people think that they're not doing it.
And they could care less if anybody thinks they're lazy and no good at this point.
Exactly, because they're not.
Yeah, no, they're not.
So who cares?
They're night stalkers at this point.
That's right.
We're going to put a video clip in just to give you an idea of the mindset of one of the Newton brothers. So here we go.
You lived pretty well, I suppose, when you were...
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we stayed in the best hotels, eat the best cafes, drove the best cars about them days.
When they were on business trips outside of Texas, as Joe told Carson on The Tonight Show, they'd stay in the nicest hotels and eat the best restaurants. At least 2 of the brothers regularly attended sporting events like the Kentucky Derby and the Indianapolis 500. They spent lavishly until their money ran low. Then, of course, they'd just go plan the next job. So they're like, screw it. We're going to spend the money. We're going to live the way we want to live. And then, hey, we're just going to make another plan and go make us another couple of $100,000.
Because it's easy at this point, and they
Yes.
make it sound so easy. In and
Yes.
out, done.
They have,
And then we'll hit up
Yeah.
the Kentucky Derby tomorrow.
and they have a plan, and they're young, so they have a lot of vitality. I mean, they don't get tired and wore out, and all they do is get amped up, and they're greedy. Their greed is driving them forward to keep trying to do the best bank heist they can. Each time they probably get better, unfortunately.
Well, and they're also looking at retirement one day. They need enough money to
Yeah.
settle in.
Absolutely. Like they're looking for
That's their 401k, guys.
They're looking for the big bang at this
Oh,
point, is what they're
yeah.
looking for. So the Newton gang's biggest heist was the one that brought them down, a train robbery outside of Chicago and roundabout Illinois. That was the one that netted them somewhere around $3 million in cash and security.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so that $3 million is equivalent to about $437 million today.
Good
So can you
God.
imagine? Can you imagine, like,
No.
back then, $3 million, well, is like
Right now, 3
$400
million.
million.
Pretty good cash,
Yes.
right? That
You could just live high on the hog for the rest of your life and never, ever even think about taking down another bank, right? I mean, that's like a lifetime. That's generational.
well, and they're
wealth.
dividing it between how many?
I think 5.
5. Okay.
5 or
Let's get it
6,
interesting
you
here.
know, let's just say 5 or 6, they're dividing it. So, I mean, you're 437 million divided by 5, let's say. I mean,
That's $87.5 million.
I'd be happy with that. I mean, heck.
For oh my gosh, I can't even. It's insane, guys.
Yeah. For the rest of your life,
Plus-
plus your grandchildren, great-grandchildren is going to be able to live off of that.
Absolutely.
And think about the cost of living back then, especially in Uvalde, Texas.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're not going to spend any money other than maybe buying a home, but to keep it up and to buy groceries and all, you're not going to, you know, you live
never
cheap.
touch. You never
No.
make a dent in it ever.
No. Even if
It's
you
not
bought
like
a
you're paying
business.
taxes.
No. You're not paying taxes. You're just,
It's just
living
straight
it.
cash.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. So on June 12th, 1924, the Newton brothers, along with Glasscock and a few newcomers, stopped a train on its way to drop off cash to several banks along its route. The gang quickly loaded 63 bags of loot into 4 stolen cars, but the confusion of the nighttime raid and after train brakemen escaped and alerted authorities, Glasscock accidentally shot Doc Newton several times,
Ooh.
mistaking him for a guard. So here's a little video. Let's see what he has to say about that.
The man was working with it. He got excited, and he found that it had to be excitement. Then he went up and went across on the other side where he wasn't supposed to be,
Yeah.
and shot my brother.
Killed him?
No. He shot him 5 or 6 times with a 45. He should have killed him.
45 is a big bore weapon. That should have pretty well... your brother recovered from that.
Yeah, recovered, and it'd be 83 years old.
So, yeah, I can see where that would happen, where he would get shot. You're loading 63 bags, even between 5 people. That's bags of cash, right?
And
so,
you're
I mean,
moving fast.
You're moving fast. It's taking some time.
Yeah.
And it's dark.
And you're a little spooked because it's dark.
You're
There's
in a
lot
hurry.
of people. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
You don't want to get caught.
The anxiety alone.
And you're worried that someone that's on the train pull a gun and shoot you at this point.
Absolutely.
Really.
Why wouldn't they?
So you're kind of jumpy, right? I would think. I would be extremely
I don't
jumpy.
know. Are they that jump? Maybe a little bit, but we're looking at
Well, I think
guys that are getting away with this. They're jumpy,
Yes.
but they're just in a hurry trying to get it done.
I
right?
don't think that they were aware that there was that much money on that train. So once they realized, oh my God, like this is the biggest break of all time.
The
The
excitement.
excitement, the adrenaline, and oh my God,
Ah.
they're moving fast. And again, they're surrounded by this big train of people that's inside, and who knows who's carrying what, who's going to take them down. So yeah, they're moving fast, and again, adrenaline pumping.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're
loving every minute of it, really.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a
but
thrill
you
for
got to
them.
look, you got to make sure no one's coming after you. So
Absolutely.
you're going to get confused.
Yeah. So Doc got shot. The men all got away, placing the wounded Doc atop bags of cash. But authorities quickly found the men. So, I mean, I'm sure it
Soft
wouldn't
enough.
be hard. But yeah, at this point, it's like, here, let's just throw him on the money. I'd have been afraid to get blood on the money. And then you got to worry about that. But, listen, they're in a hurry. They're trying to get out of there. And they
Just
got a
throw
wounded
him
man.
in, let's go.
And he's shot several times. I mean, this dude is hurt. But a corrupt postal inspector who was on the job gave himself away under a wiretap, a tip that led authorities to the doctor who treated the wounded Doc. Willis made it across the border into Mexico, and oldest brother Jesse escaped for a while to Texas, along with about $35,000, which is equivalent to $528,000 today. Which, let's be honest, that's still a shit ton of money for the
But it's
1920s
nothing
compared to what
compared.
But he's like, okay, so I'm free to live my life. I didn't get caught by the law, and I got all this money, so I can make this work.
I'm
at
good.
this point, right? So in a strange twist to this story, Frank Hammer's brother, Texas Ranger Harrison Hammer, arrested Jess Newton in 1924.
Oh my gosh.
So, Frank Hammer's the one that took down Bonnie and Clyde 10 years later. Little did I know, after all the research we've done and stories we've done on Frank Hammer, and we are Frank Hammer fans.
We love us some Frank
We're-
Hammer.
We're fans. Little did we know that his brother Harrison Hammer was a Texas Ranger, and he took these guys down.
That
10
is so
years
cool.
prior.
I love these brothers.
So I think that we're due for a story on Harrison
I think
Hammer.
so too.
And how cool is that? Can you imagine the things they talked about when they got together?
I would
especially
love
as they
to
got
hear their
older.
stories. How cool would that be?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I think it was real interesting because I'm watching the movie with my husband, and in the movie, Frank Hammer actually arrests one of the Newton brothers, and I'm like, wait, what?
But it's just as cool to have
It is.
his brother,
It
right?
is.
I mean, come on.
But they had Frank Hammer in there. I'm like, I need to look this up because I've
Poor
done research
Harrison.
on Frank. I know, right? Poor
he
guy.
deserved.
And so I'm doing the research, and then I confirmed it through the Texas Ranger website that Harrison Hammer is actually the one who arrested them. But in a plot twist in the movie, they wanted to bring everybody's
I'm
more
impressed.
familiar with Frank Hammer.
I guess so.
But-
But poor Harrison, he deserved
The
to have his name and
recognition.
the recognition.
So here you go, Harrison. You're getting recognition
right.
from Sisters of the South.
Woohoo.
And we're going to do a story on Harrison. I'm telling you, it just got me so
and
intrigued.
the Hammer brothers.
Yeah. And again, just a reminder, Frank Hammer is Texas Ranger, took down Bonnie and Clyde on May 23rd, 1934, 10 years prior is when his brother got the Newton brothers. So they're out, they're taking down these bad guys, right? So, but we did do a YouTube video on Frank Hammer. We will link their information in the description box below, along with the story of Bonnie and Clyde. So y'all got to watch that too. So, but within months, everyone involved was arrested and headed to trial, including the wounded Doc, who was taken into proceedings on a freaking stretcher. Okay.
Rub some dirt on it, put a Band-Aid on
Yeah.
it. Let's go.
Right.
Bring him in.
We're not even going to give you a Tylenol. We're just going to throw you in a stretcher, and it is what it is. You deserve every bit of it, right?
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, I mean, back then, the people were tough, man. I
That's
mean, really
awesome.
tough. So, from the Cook County Library, by the end of November 1924, the trial was over, and the robbers were on their way to prison sentences. In all, 8 men were convicted. Despite the amount of money stolen, most of the robbers received rather light sentences. None of those convicted served their entire sentence, and all were eventually released on good behavior. Well, I mean, of course, these guys
They were
never
good
wanted to shoot anyone.
guys. They just wanted money. That was their job. They were doing their job.
They wanted what the government owed them. Okay? That's literally
We
what
all
they
want
deserve.
that, to never pay taxes again. That's what we want.
Yes.
They take enough of our money. So
Right?
they just,
They did it for them the easy way. It wouldn't be easy for me, but these guys were born robbers, right?
it's not easy for a lot of people, but
Well, listen to this though.
okay.
Doc and Willis tried to rob a bank in Rowena, Texas later in life when Doc was well into his 70s and Willis was 80.
Oh my gosh.
But the Newton brothers spent the rest of their lives mostly on the right side of the law. So they're like, hey, it's been getting real boring over here in Rowena, Texas. What are we going to do? And I can see one of the brothers going, hey, let's rob a bank. Oh, yeah, why not? I mean,
it's so easy.
for them in their 70s and 80s. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I'm like, ugh, I'm tired. I ain't got time for that I don't have the energy for that. Not these guys. They're like, hey, let's bring back some old times. Let's
Who
relive
knows
the
what
good
we're going to be
days.
into in 20 years, right?
True. Not robbing banks, but something. I mean,
Well, no.
who knows? We get better as we age. Maybe we'll be as successful as the Newton brothers, but on a different scale.
It won't be a robbing banks.
Their exploits are often now considered, when the Newtons are acknowledged at all, as brothers simply trying to make a living.
They were businessmen.
They were businessmen, okay? It was a family business. Let me show you a video clip. Here you go.
Them bankers was rich, and they didn't care about hunting. They didn't care about hurting us poor farmers. So why should I care about hurting them?
But the romanticized story is told by Willis, his brothers, and many historians is not necessarily the true one. It seems that they were made to look a lot better than what they really were. Essentially, they were crooks and criminals. I agree. They were crooks and they were criminals.
Yeah.
But they weren't hoodlums. Now, when I use the word hoodlum, I reference that because we did a story on Bonnie and Clyde. And there was so much mischief between robberies and murdering people, which that's bad enough. But they weren't hoodlums, right? I mean, they had
were
a
just
plan.
out for the money. They weren't out to hurt people.
Yes,
and
they
not
had
that
a
makes
plan.
it better. They didn't
No.
earn the money.
No, but their whole intention was literally to rob banks, not cause mischief and terrorize, different people randomly.
Well, maybe in their minds, like, we're never going to be that rich ever
We're not
unless
hurting
we do
nobody.
these things, and we're not
Yeah.
hurting anyone in the process.
Right, because back then,
And that's not an excuse. That's just, I'm sure, what they're thinking, right?
right. And back then, the banks, and they still are. The banks are now. They're insured. So to them, we're not stealing from the community or the people.
We're stealing from the government.
We're stealing from the government. The bank's going to get paid back, and we've got money, and we're on our way. But I mean, again, that doesn't make it right at all. But that was just
They're just
their thinking process.
bank robbers with morals.
Yeah. Yes, they're morals.
Morals.
Exactly. Yeah. It has been pointed out that in at least a few of their robberies, a lot of gunplay was involved, and a lack of planning could have been disastrous, we talked about that earlier. Like when you're going into a dangerous situation to steal money. I mean, people take their money serious. I take my money serious, and you ain't taking my money because I worked hard for it. It could become disastrous. So they took guns with them.
Well, and
just
it's
in
not like they
case.
could have done much research on the place. It's
No.
not nowadays where you know everything. Well, I mean, it would be stupid to try to rob a bank now, but
Yeah.
you can't know what's coming and who's standing there and who's doing what.
Now they would scope out these
But
places.
not as deep into
Right.
they
They would go spend like 2 or 3 days there and kind of get a lay of the land and kind of figure out who was who there in the town. And then they would swoop in at night. They wanted to make sure that they were, smart about it, if you want to call it that.
But
So
you still have, you just never know.
anything can happen at any
That's
time,
anytime you
especially.
do anything criminal, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
That's right. And they got lucky. Doc got lucky that he survived, but they really got lucky that was really the only thing that ever happened.
Right. And they did it to each other.
Right. So, in newspaper accounts of a shooting during one of their train robberies in Illinois, a black porter by the name of Moon died 3 days after the robbery from gunshot wounds. Though the Newtons swore they never killed anyone, that may not have been the case. And who knows in that situation? I don't think they probably went straight up to him and
Shot him.
in his face, but they might have been shooting randomly and the bullets got him is probably what happened.
And they didn't stick around to find out
no
either.
Well, no, they're not sticking around.
They're
and
it's
out
not
of
like
there.
you hear about, you can Google it and find out what happened the next day.
And they're out of there as quick as possible. They might not have even known this guy got shot, really. But nevertheless, the Newton gang holds status as folks' heroes to many. And they remain unquestionably the most successful bank robbers the country has ever seen.
People make better choices.
Yeah.
Look at your heroes a little better.
Right? I mean, that's like saying Bonnie and Clyde is your hero.
Gosh.
But here is a little video clip of what Joe Newton has to say about that.
19 years old. Now, when's the first time you went to jail?
That roundabout train robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to put that on and stick me out. You're putting your mask on. We're going to... Old habits die hard, don't they? Let me ask you something now. Looking back on this, if you had to do it all over again, you wouldn't recommend this as a...
No, it was crazy for doing it. I look back and see them, but you're young then.
Yeah.
And they, well...
Yeah, so it looks like, that Joe has grown up somewhat. Of course, he in his 70s went ahead and robbed another bank with his brother.
Physically.
But yeah, but he's kind of grown up a little bit and he kind of sees it a little different now. But in 1998, the life and times of the Newton brothers was made into a movie for 20th Century Fox Studios. Directed by Richard Linklater, the Newton boys starred Matthew McConaughey, Skeet Ulrich, Ethan Hawke, and Dwight Yoakam. And it's a really good movie, guys. Y'all should go watch it. That's the movie my husband and I watched, and it just really got me into the story. And it's I don't want to say it's a fun movie, but it kind of gives you a sense of the time and era, and just a lot of tidbits, that they caught up in during their life of crime.
I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out.
You need to watch it. Anything Matthew McConaughey does,
Oh, of course.
I'm in on it. And Dwight Yoakam, he plays Glasscock in this, and he's
Oh my
really
gosh.
good. He's really good. The youngest Newton brother, Joe, passed away at age 88 on February 3rd, 1989. Willis, Doc, Jess, and Joe were products of their time and circumstances. Born poor, they desperately wanted to live the high life of the 1920s that they witnessed and to get back at the system they thought worked against them. And listen, this is the time of Prohibition, the Flapper Girls. It was almost like a genesis of things to come in America. And you're looking at, the Depression era as well, and people were living what we consider poverty today is completely different than the type of poverty that families lived
Absolutely.
in back in the 20s and 30s.
Well, and
completely different.
It got them on the road traveling.
Yeah.
They got to see things they would have never been able to see
That's right.
if they had stayed home and
Worked in the cotton fields and yes.
And
exactly.
I'm not saying that's a good excuse, but that was what they looked at, right?
Yeah, and they did for a while. But in the end, crime didn't pay. Yet, the nearly bloodless bandits from Texas are remembered as being some of the most successful and polite desperados in history.
Polite. That's cute.
Isn't that nice? So after everything that they went through, they got rich and then they kind of lost it overnight, so to speak. They kind of sort of ended their crime spree, but decided one last hoorah before the two brothers passed away later on. So,
Well, okay.
yeah, so that's the story of the Newton gang. So, guys, what do you think? Have you heard about them? I mean, it was kind of a new story for me, and I really kind of enjoyed going through it, knowing that they didn't, really go through and just, just
They weren't vicious.
No, they
Okay,
didn't.
they were polite. If you
Yeah.
can say bank robbers are
Yeah.
polite.
And they didn't go out with ill intent other than just to take the money they thought was owed to them. They didn't obliterate, a lot of people in the process. Maybe one guy, but nobody really knows that for sure. So,
Right.
so there, really there's kind of a good ending to it. The best that there can be in this situation. So let us know what you think. Give us a thumbs up. And if you really love us, just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell.
Yeah, guys. So, until our next episode, please remember to
See the good and stay imperfectly perfect.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. God bless.